Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Built Through Broadcast with the Emerald Green Collective. I am one of your co hosts, Coach Shantae, and along with me today is Coach Shayola, and I believe we have Coach Latoya coming on in the room. So, today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation. I know many women have heard of endometriosis, but have you heard of endometriosis' little cousin, adenomyosis? Stay tuned for more info. And just like that, we are back. And welcome to the scene, Coach Latoya. We are truly excited to dive into tonight's subject. This is our 24, and we are really excited to welcome in our coach and co-host, Coach Courtney Chester. Come on in the room.
Hello, peace.
Hi, beautiful. How are you?
I am doing good. I'm happy to see you guys' face. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it has.
We're happy to see your face too.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to go ahead and just dive right in because this has the potential to be a very meaty subject. So we want to make sure we give you guys as much information as possible. So, Coach Courtney, what even is adenomyosis?
You know, but before the adenomyosis, Coach Courtney, who you be? How you helping us around
You
in
need
the
to tell the people about that first.
We want to know a little bit more about you, hear from you, right? And then dive right into the subject. But I know people like, well, they kept putting sacred woman practitioner. What does that mean? Emerald Green practitioner, even though we didn't put that, that's how we all have come about. So I just wanted to throw that in there. Tell us about you.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing that I love about this space that you guys have created is that we all love wellness. And so, like you said, that's kind of how we met each other, is through wellness, through becoming a holistic practitioner together, through becoming sacred women together. And so I am a holistic practitioner. I'm a clinical mental health counselor. I do sister circles annually. I do health consultations. What else? I have a book all about womb health called The 7 Secrets to a Sacred Vagina. I sell sea moss and elderberry syrup. And I just get into the wellness bag like all of us because it's really a passion of mine. And so right now I'm in a doctorate program, and my whole purpose for being in this program is literally to bridge the gap between mental health and nutritional health. So I feel like the field of counseling, if we're going to have people in front of us in a chair, there's no reason why we're not talking about lifestyle and nutrition and how that factors into mental health. I'm not saying we have to be like nutritionists and dietitians, but like we should know the basics. So that's really what I'm pushing for the field of counseling. So that's kind of like my focus right now.
So did I hear Dr. Chester coming? Dr. Chester coming?
Halfway through the program, and it is intense, but I feel like it's worth it. And of course, like all of us, I'm a mom, you know, so there's just, we as women, so many hats.
Cute ones and beautiful ones and
Yes,
sexy ones.
yes. I love all the hats, but it's a lot of hats, and I'm grateful for them all.
Awesome. Well, before we turn it back over to Coach Shantae to lead the way, can you tell us the name of your book again?
Yeah, The 7 Secrets to a Sacred Vagina. And so I talk about everything that helped me heal from our topic today, adenomyosis. So yeah, it's been a struggle, but it is definitely conquerable.
And did you say the 7 secrets of a sacred vagina? Did I hear that right? Okay. All right. I'm just putting it in the chat for everyone to take a look at and support. And back to you, Coach Shantae.
Absolutely. And just so you all are aware, the book is available on Amazon. You can order it through Amazon and have it shipped directly to you and get that knowledge and information. So welcome, Coach Lorraine. We've got a full quorum, you guys.
Greetings.
Special day.
Greetings.
So, Coach Courtney.
Yeah.
Since you have written this book, 7 Secrets of a Sacred Vagina, tell us a little bit about the condition that caused you to need to write this book in the first place.
Yeah. So like so many women, you experience so much issues around your womb health. So the menstrual cycles being heavy or the pain or whatever. And if you're like myself, you found yourself in the doctor's office a lot and just not getting answers. But because I am persistent, finally I was able to get a diagnosis of adenomyosis. And a lot of individuals, like, it can go undiagnosed. So even like with the research and literature, it doesn't show that Black women have a lot of diagnoses with these things, but it's true. Like, we do. I just think sometimes it goes unnoticed or we go unheard, unfortunately. But with that condition, it's pretty much your endometrial tissue coming into, or the tissue that's inside of your uterus starts to grow outside or on the inside. So it takes over. So it involves the tissue going into the myometrium, which is the muscular wall of the uterus. So basically it's the inside of your tissue conquering the inside of your uterus. So endometriosis happens on the outside and adenomyosis happens on the inside. So literally they say the only cure is a hysterectomy. However, like usually that's the first go-to after birth control. And I think that's literally all I was offered was different types of birth control and then right into the hysterectomy. And so because that's just not something I wanted to do, I believe I was 27 at the time. I was like, okay, after 4 doctors are telling me the same thing, I had some bad experiences. Then I was like, let me try something I haven't tried before, which is just seeing what nature can offer. So I was just like, that was my last resort, not a hysterectomy. And so I kind of dived into that. I listened to a lot of Queen Afua stuff, a lot of other natural healers, and just kind of went all in, like, completely. And so that's kind of the basis of the book, is everything that I did from the juicing to the different herbs and the complete diet change. Because like a lot of us Black people, you know, you come from a typical American diet with a little bit of soul food or a lot of soul food. And it just kind of feeds the disease.
Absolutely. You know, I'm grateful that you mentioned, you know, going to multiple doctors and essentially having to advocate for yourself. I know I personally have some friends in my circle who had that same issue. And the only thing that the doctors would tell her is, you know, in order to regulate her cycles and stop bleeding, you know, 30 days out of 1 month and 15 days out of the next, she just needed to lose weight. They didn't take any of her concerns seriously. And unfortunately, she suffered for so long that she just gave in to the hysterectomy. So my question in that is, what are some of the ways that you were able to advocate for yourself that you can kind of share with the our viewers on how they can advocate for themselves if they think that this may be something they're dealing with?
Well, I mean, I think for me, it was really that woman's intuition. Like a lot of times we don't listen, we don't listen to it, and we learn our lesson and we're kind of like, oh, something told me. So with my experience, again, I was traveling. So I went to 4 different doctors. There was a doctor I was seeing for many years. I just didn't feel heard. He kept saying, oh, it's normal. And I'm like, this might be normal, but it doesn't mean that it's like optimum. It doesn't mean that this is a good quality of life, because it really was kind of reckoning things. Like it was a crippling pain and it just was really challenging. So, and it just came out of the blue. I'm like, I ended up getting a tubal, and it's like, that's when all the symptoms started. And then looking into the research, it kind of shows that like scar tissue can be one of the causes of it. So it makes sense. But when you don't know better, when you don't know about plant-based contraceptives and that kind of thing, you just kind of do what you can do, you know?
Yeah.
I already got 4 kids. So yeah, so it was for me after that 4th doctor, she seemed so nice and like so caring. And it was finally a woman doctor. And so she had talked me into trying out the, what's the one birth control where they inserted, oh, it's a popular one. Yes. Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. So they kind of like stick it up you and it sticks into place or whatever.
That's it, but
yeah, I can't think of it.
Is it the Paragard?
No, but it's a
Mirena?
No, is it? Well, the Mirena, that's not the rubber thing, is it? Is that metal or copper? The Mirena? It's the Mirena.
I don't remember, but I had a Mirena and it was inserted.
It's the Mirena. Yeah, it's the Mirena. So it's like this copper piece that they like kind of stick way back and let go and whatever. So she was saying like, if I were you, I would try this. What do you have to lose? And so, but the whole time, like when I scheduled it and then when I was actually getting it inserted, like my body like had this panic attack, like almost like this fear or like, I don't know, because I had been off birth control for a while. And I've had all these issues. So I was afraid. But I had this whole panic attack while she was putting it in to where like she had to stop and get me. It was just awful. And so like, I feel like my body was telling me something. My gut was telling me something and I didn't listen. So after it was inserted, I just kind of had like this little breakdown. I don't know what it was about, but now I feel like it was just my own self trying to keep me safe, and I just didn't listen. And so I had a really bad reaction to this device. So like a week later, I was like bleeding and clotting like crazy, and it was really alarming. And so when I went back to set this appointment after 2 weeks, the doctor was like, this is a really expensive device. I'm not taking this out. I kid you not. She was like, it's like she had totally switched. She went from this really nice, calming person to like, well, you know, it's normal. You have to give it some time. And I'm telling you, like, it was really alarming the amount that I was bleeding, even more than before. And I was like, I don't think my body is liking this. Like, this doesn't feel right. And she's like, you need to give it time. I don't feel comfortable taking it out. I'm not taking it out because you just got it. It's a really expensive device. And so that kind of just told me everything that I needed to know, because at that point, do you really want someone touching on you that has that mindset anyways? So I ended up just going to like a Planned Parenthood and having it removed immediately. And then that was when I was like, this is the 4th doctor, the 4th bad experience I've had. And this one was even more heightened. So I need a break from doctors and I need to try something else. So for me, I feel like we can advocate when we listen to our gut. If something doesn't feel right, don't just let someone tell you that it's normal, because unfortunately, so many people get like shooed away or told, you know, that a device is expensive or it's normal. And like, that's just not okay. We really have to listen to our bodies.
Wow.
Absolutely. Anything from you ladies before we continue? You guys want to ask the next
I was
question?
going to say, because that's the story. Not her telling you it's expensive, like the money was coming out of her pocket.
$1,000. I don't know if she gets. I think she gets paid off of that. You know, I don't know if removing it Impact
It's
for
like, oh, you
pockets.
gotta pay the refund fee.
That's probably what it was. Like,
In 2 weeks.
you're not going to
So,
stick
you know,
me with this fee. Wow.
That's insane. I was
I wish
gonna
I was
say,
on.
I definitely had a similar experience where I had to advocate for uh, myself because I had an ectopic pregnancy, and I ended up having to have a shot of chemotherapy to terminate the pregnancy because they couldn't find the
The embryo. Mm-hmm.
And so I remember when they gave me the shot, like I went home, I started bleeding, cramping, like all the things. And so I had to keep going back for blood work. And so they were just trying to make sure my HCG levels were decreasing at a certain rate. And I remember I went one day and they're like, oh, it didn't decrease enough. Like that means the shot's not taking, you have to go back to the emergency room and get another shot of chemo. And I'm like, oh, absolutely not. Like, I'm like, it definitely worked. It did something. I'm bleeding. I'm cramping. None of this was happening before, you know. And so they're going back and forth with me. And because they're just telling me, like, basically, like, since the fetus is still there, that like, I'm still in danger of, like, it rupturing something and, scaring me pretty much. Like, oh, you could die, And I'm like, well, we gonna see and wait it out.
We're going to see.
Because I'm convinced something is working and we just gonna figure out, later on. And so as I'm having more conversation with the doctor, I realized that they tested me on the wrong day because they were looking for a certain like percentage decrease. And they were like, so I'm talking, and I'm like, oh, you were supposed to test me on like the 4th and 7th day. And they brought me in on like the 3rd and 7th or something. And so I was like, oh, you know what? And I didn't even realize it until I got home. And so I was like, because I had left the doctor and everything and was like, yeah, no, we just gonna wait it out and see, I'll call y'all tomorrow, whatever. Mm-hmm. And when I did, I was like, y'all tested me on the wrong days. Like they hadn't even figured it out still. So everything ended up being fine for sure. But I was like, imagine if I was just listening to them, letting them scare me into another unnecessary shot of chemotherapy.
That's so scary.
It is scary. And I had that same experience where I had to get that I forget the name of that chemotherapy, methotrexate, I think is what it was. And for me, they couldn't find the embryo, but when they put that methotrexate in, it ruptured one of my tubes and thus having the ectopic. But advocating, that seems to be a common theme as it relates to just being a melanated woman going into the healthcare system. You really have to advocate for yourself. Like you have to advocate for yourself because who else is really going to do it? So that leads me to a question. So am I hearing that really what perpetuates this dis-ease is diet, environment, very much like endometriosis, is just the inner rather than the outer. So
it's pretty much the same thing, except for one is on the inside of the uterus and one is on the outside. And so again, that's why they say there's no cure, because it's on the inside of the uterus. That's why they're like, oh, well, hysterectomy. If we can't manage the symptoms with birth control, then let's just take it all out.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Coach Shayola.
No, I really don't have anything to say. What ran through my mind is how, typically speaking, they'll make it like, hysterectomy. Let's just, have this hysterectomy and everything else would be, okay. And it's just like, no, ladies, before you say yes to the hysterectomy, like, let's try something else. Like, let that not be the go-to, straight off the top.
Yeah, seriously. I know a lot of women.
I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I know a lot of women who did just go straight with the hysterectomy and they still have complications, sadly. It's not fixing something, like there's still something going on, So.
Yeah.
Wow. So ladies, if you have the either or, any of the osises, we have to really just make sure that at the base, for me, it was diet. I mean, I did the pasta, I did the rice, I did the sweets. I had a terrible diet. So, diet, not a lifestyle. I literally had a diet that, really wreaked havoc on the womb. And, being a womb warrior, if you will, is definitely it's the work, because the womb is our sacred seat, and if she's clogged and out of balance, then that's the planet, right? Because the state of the womb is the state of the planet, and the state of the planet is the state of the womb. So the sooner we're able to balance, or be in a state of harmony, the better off we will be. So if you have any questions out there for Coach Courtney, please feel free to put it in the chat. We would love to communicate with you. #join the conversation. Thank you for allowing me to share.
And Coach Latoya, I saw you had unmuted your mic. What did you want to share with the class today?
Oh, yes. I wanted to share with Courtney that I definitely can relate to the rejection of when I had the Mirena. My body rejected it after a couple of years though, but the doctor had a hard time making sure that she felt like she wasn't sure if it was inserted in completely, to the point where she had me get an x-ray done to make sure that it was even in there correctly. And then I was told when I got the x-ray, oh, you have a tilted uterus. And I was like, oh, I ain't even heard of that before. But maybe like a couple of years later, when I started to get more into being healthier and eating plant-based for several months, it just came out in the shower. Like it just literally came out. So like my body didn't want it and eat either.
That's kind of cool that it just was like, okay, bye.
Yeah, it wasn't even
done here.
It just left. Yeah. And I do have a question, because I'm glad that Coach Shantae brought up, asking the question about advocacy. And my question, since you have such difficulty with doctors, and just in general, people are very leery of doctors, especially people of, melanated people. Do you have any tips for people who, want to seek out doctors, just as a precaution? Like, what would you recommend as far as good traits to look for, or what questions to ask to like solidify whether or not that person should go to that particular doctor? Do you have any suggestions?
I mean, I think it goes back to like listening to your gut. Like after maybe 2 years of really changing my diet and my lifestyle, I was like, okay, I do need pap smears. Because I do believe that there's some help in the medical system.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate that sometimes it's just not always presented as help, and it's more of an obstacle for women of color, or people of color, period. But when I went looking for a new doctor, I just was like, okay, I just have to have a good vibe. Like I have to feel listened to. And I feel like you can tell off the bat if someone is just like rushing you or not listening or telling you stuff is normal. And so I just went and got like a regular annual and found a woman of color. So that was a little bit of more comforting. It doesn't mean anything necessarily until you get to know the person. But I actually really do like her. And so for me, it was helpful. And then she did a pap smear and like all the tests. And she's like, oh, I don't see any traces of anything. So, adenomyosis is not something that's curable, but it's not something that is on her radar right now because nothing came up. So that was kind of cool. Because I do feel like, just if you look in the news right now, there's so many women, unfortunately, still dying from these health disparities. So I do think it's important to have these checkups, So I do think that's important.
Absolutely. So as we are moving forward, we are, going to see our doctors. We're getting regular checkups. What are some things that we can do in between checkups to address some of the root causes, if it is adenomyosis or endometriosis, and are those things interchangeable?
Well, I know that there is different risk factors for the two. Like, so adenomyosis, you're at higher risk if you've had like a C-section. I think, again, like going back to that scar tissue. So for me, I had a tubal I think it also for women who've had children. So like one of the things I remember my doctor is just saying, like, because you've had children, like it can happen. If this type of stuff runs in your family. And then again, if you're just kind of already dealing with menstrual issues. So a lot of that leads back to like what you guys are already kind of pointing to is our lifestyle. So if we already have this lifestyle that can lead to messed up cycles, then we're already at higher risk. But for endometriosis, I think it's a little different. I think a lot more women may be diagnosed with that because I think you can get it just as soon as you have your period. So anyone's at risk, like just because you are now into womanhood, not necessarily because you've had kids. And I think 1 in every 10 women are diagnosed with it. And again, the research is saying that it's higher in non-Black people. But again, I know so many people who deal with so many womb issues that are Black. And so a lot of the research is also saying that it could be flawed research, because we go misdiagnosed or we're not listened to or our pain is minimalized. So there's so much that we just don't know. But anyways, to answer your question, the things that we can do is going back to lifestyle. So for me, it was like cutting out the meat, all the stuff that we learned. So cutting out meat, cutting out white sugar, cutting out dairy, adding in more greens, moving your body, like all the things that I don't know about you guys, but it's just not something I grew up knowing. Like I didn't like the whole wellness, like the holistic wellness piece. Like I'm so passionate about it now because it's obviously changed my life. But then just like, I don't know, I got excited learning about it. I'm sure you guys did too, because we all did the same program, but it's like exciting because it's like, wow, I didn't know that I could care for myself in this way.
Yeah.
So I think just upping that self-care in a way of, am I moving my body? Am I eating something green? Do I have fruits in my diet? How do I wake up and eat heavy foods? Do I go to bed and eat heavy foods? So really a lot of that basic stuff that we were fortunate enough to learn that now I think we're trying to spread and teach, but it's like life-changing.
It is. It truly is. One of the things that I want to pull out is those lifestyle changes. We recently, as the collective behind the scenes, went through a sacred woman journey together. And it was such a transformational experience. And I personally was amazed at the transformation that I saw within my own body going through the sacred woman journey. I didn't have painful menses going into the cycle, into the sacred woman cycle. But as I journeyed through, as I was releasing energies and I was processing different emotions, I had a couple of cycles that were pretty painful. And then when I got to the other side of the sacred woman journey, it was like, it was back to, no pain when the menstrual cycle started. It just came on in the room, came and hung out for about 4 days, and then went on about its business. And now we wait for next month. So I'm not saying that is going to be your result as you go through a sacred woman journey or through a detox. But those things are possible when you start doing that inner work. And I remember in a previous conversation that I had with Coach Courtney, she shared that the journey got worse before it got better. So just really quickly before we do our closing remarks, can you tell us a little bit more about what you mean by it got worse before it got better?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember because it's been, I think, like 5-6 years now. But I do remember that I just went through, it's almost like this purge. Because I just kind of like no meat, no dairy, no sugar. And so my family thinks I'm very extreme because it's like, Queen Afua would say, like, it's like your life depends on it because it does. So I kind of really took it there. So, I experienced a lot of acne. I still experience a lot of heavy bleeding, a lot of heavy clotting, even as I was like juicing more and more. I feel like There was, of course, like some body odor. I mean, just all types of stuff, like whiteness on the tongue, just like as you're detoxing, all those detox symptoms. And so for a while, I was just like, this is just disgusting. You know, a lot of discharge. I mean, just whatever you can think of. And so, but I was like, okay, to me, I think it could scare some people off. But for me, I'm like, something's happening. And because I was learning as I was doing all of this, like I had learned about like these healing crises that could happen. And I think I did experience a couple of those where like it would just be scary how much blood, or I'm just like, what is going on? But then like as time progressed, like, so now the cycle is really shortened and very light blood, but it's like all that had to happen. It had to come out. I had like a sty on my eye, like just all types of stuff, you know, just your body just purging is what I took it for.
Yeah, that mucus is real, you know, when it's draining and coming out, which is a great segue to the Emerald Green Collective is having our spring detox coming here very soon. Which, right, which is, it starts May 5th. And, you know, you can visit our Instagram page or our link tree, click the link in the bio to get that early bird special. You know, it has so much value added to it. And we actually, you know, we work directly with you, whether it's an energy reading, your consultation, you know, you have a veg camp guide with recipes and all the things to help you regulate. So I'll pass this part over to Coach Shantae because I love how she explains our seasonal detoxes.
Thank you so very much. So yes, we will be having our first detox of 2024, kick off May 5th. We'll journey from May 12th to June 2nd and have our final closing call, testimonials. We want to hear about your results and answer all the questions that you have on June 2nd. We will also be doing our early bird pricing, which includes the 21-day detox, access to our community. It also includes a 30-minute coaching consultation and a 10-minute tune-up energy reading, and that is all for the price of $49.99 as an early bird. The link is live now. The price will be going up April the 13th. So make sure you get in before then, because again, price goes up April 13th. For $49.99, you get to join our detox, where we have weekly group coaching calls. We'll also be doing pop-up webinars and just really making this an experience that you will be able to walk away from and take some tangibles with you. We don't focus on supplements at the Emerald Green Collective. We focus on day-to-day real life things that you can implement to change your life and change your family's life. So when you come on in the room with us, you'll be in with some friends who are going to walk this journey with you, and we will be there with you from start to finish. All right. So again, $49.99, the emeraldgreencollective.com, or you can go to our link tree on Instagram or Facebook and take a look and see what you want to do. And if you want to do a consultation before the detox starts, those are available as well. You can book with any of our coaches and we'd be happy to assist you.
Yeah.
Turning it back over to Coach.
Give thanks. It was such a pleasure to have you on, to see you again. Thank you for all the work that you've been doing. Thank you for your book. I'll get it because I haven't gotten it. I don't even know. Well, anyway, to just say thank you. Thank you for educating us. Thank you for encouraging us to advocate and to transition, if we haven't already, to a healthier lifestyle. Coach Latoya, Coach Lorraine, anything to add before we sign on out of here? I just want to make sure before there she is.
Oh, I don't have anything. Y'all definitely ended it beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate all that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Likewise, sisters.
I think my internet is acting up. I was just trying to say, because I was actually trying to post it in the chat, but my internet wouldn't pull it up, that the link to the detox.
Oh,
Awesome.
let's see. If
One
I can-
last thing before
But
we go.
thank you.
Okay, we have
Courtney.
a
It was
moment.
such a pleasure to see you.
Indeed, it was.
No, I miss you
Thanks for all
guys.
that information. I'm like, I need to connect with you because
Yes.
Yes.
you got some warm.
Speaking of,
Listen to loud. I love y'all.
we love you too.
We
And
love you
speaking of,
too.
how can everyone stay in contact with or follow you so that they can get more tips and advice and possibly work with you in the future?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Your Holistic Counselor. And my website is lifeliquidsolutions.com. So, but if they follow me on social media, it's all linked.
Excellent. And don't forget, you can go to Amazon to get 7 Secrets of the Sacred Vagina on Amazon. We are really excited and grateful to have connected with Coach Courtney. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to another episode of Built Through Broadcast. We will see you all soon. Peace.
Peace.